All right. So this is the last night of our little series. And I know. But we'll have more in future years. I'm sure we can kind of recap and learn more. And the thing I love about nutrition is it's a science. So there's all these scientific research. It's constantly, the basics are the basics are the same. You want to eat your plant strong foods, exercise, but there's always new studies coming out, and it's just fascinating. I love to constantly be reading up on it. I left last Wednesday after we talked, I guess the first week, we talked about motivation, how important it is as believers to be motivated to take care of ourselves because our bodies belong to God. And then last week we talked about establishing healthy habits because your whole life is made up of habits, and what you eat is basically you're in the habit of eating that, and how you can take on new habits in exchange for bad ones. But I wanted to just say a few things first, maybe to some of you who left or throughout the week have just felt a little overwhelmed by all the information. You have cried tears of despair over not having Twinkies, and you are just a little shell-shocked. You don't know where to, you still are kind of having trouble where to start. First, the foundation, I felt to say this during worship, is your value in life, your value as a person will never increase or decrease based on your weight increasing or decreasing. And I know that everybody knows that, but I just want to say that from the platform, that you are valuable no matter what size you are. The issue is you feeling the best that you can feel, having the most energy, having the most mental clarity, so that you can do the work of God. And I love what Miss Karen said the first week, and it's so true. A lot of times you don't know that you feel as bad as you do until you change your habit. You become so accustomed to the way you feel that you think you feel good, but then when you make a small change, you feel the impact of that small change. So in those of you who feel maybe discouraged, you remember you just take it one habit at a time. So the first habit we talked about was drink water. Instead of other beverages, choose water. That's cheap. Anybody can do that. The next thing was just incorporating more plant foods. We talked about some shocking things, but you don't have to go home and think, oh my gosh, I've just got to revamp. I can't eat any of the things I used to eat. You just gradually exchange for more plant foods, and don't buy the processed foods. You won't eat it. In exchange, whatever your budget can afford, So there's hope for all of you. Our goal, I was thinking about this morning. My vision pertaining health for this community is that we would be a people of God that are fully alive, body, soul, and spirit. Fully surrendered to the lordship of Jesus, body, soul, and spirit. And a lot of times you'll visit maybe or know of one church community, and they're very spiritual. They have lots of spiritual experiences. They're filled with the Holy Spirit, but their mind, will, and emotions are array. They don't have strong willpower. They don't engage their mind. Or sometimes you go into churches and they really exalt intellect and they really exalt your own ability to discipline yourself and do certain things, but their spirits are still hungry and starving. And then sometimes you may have two, but you have people that are sick and diseased and they don't have energy and they're overweight, but God's desire is for all of us to be fully the best that we can be, body, soul, and spirit. And I think the world really has yet to see a body of Christ that is fully submitted to his lordship in all three of those areas. In all three, not just spirit and soul, but body, soul, and spirit. So that's our goal. That's what we're aiming at. We're not in some kind of competition, who can look the best, who can lose the most weight. We are trying to surrender every area of our life to God. Every area, even our eating habits that we've said, well, it's my body, I can choose what I want to eat. We've kind of, through this series, we're saying, God is Lord over every part of my life. And I want to ask him what he thinks about all of my habits, not just my soul habits and my spirit habits, but all of them. So this week, we're talking about some more habits of what you're going to do with your body. Last week, we talked about kind of what you eat. And this week, I want to talk about three things in particular. I'm going to move kind of swiftly through the first two and then camp out on the last one. First of all, I would like to say that reminds you that all change takes time. Remember we said the first week, we said it takes 90 days, or maybe I said it last week, to establish a habit, for it to be part of your life. So remember that as I'm talking tonight and giving you more information. All right, one of the important things that's going to transform your life is just consistently having a good sleep habit. Sleep is so important. Now, I know that we kind of have this mindset, especially when we're doing great things for people and God, we'll sleep when we get to heaven. But scientific research has proven through multiple studies that you can say that, oh, I'll just sleep when I get to heaven, but you will get to heaven quite quicker. How well you sleep at night has scientifically been linked to how long you will live. How much you sleep each night can determine the length of life that you're going to have. So sleep is important. It's so important that God designed our bodies to need it. And I don't care how spiritual you think you may be, you're still in a body. Your body still needs sleep. So I want to give you a couple things about well, first of all, let me just ask. Let's take over the past 6 days. Just real quick in your head, roughly how many hours of sleep have you been getting a night? Kind of get that number in your head. And I know with moms, it's like, don't even try to think about it, but just think like before kids came, were you sleeping good? And then I think, like sometimes in bed, I think, okay, there will be a day when they're out of the house that I can sleep through the night and as long as I want. So you have a kind of figure of how long you sleep on average every night. Okay, now let me tell you what is recommended. You need a habit. That means that more often than not, most of the time, you are getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Why? Because it regulates important hormones in your body. Especially for weight loss, if you're stressed, your body secretes hormones and repairs itself while you sleep. So things are happening. You're producing hormones that help you burn fat, help you metabolize sugars and carbs while you sleep. And if you decrease that amount of sleep, it causes more stress on your body, and you're not able to produce those hormones like you should. If you don't get a lot of sleep, So it boosts your immune system. Good night's sleep. This is really expensive, isn't it? Because we all know that to be healthy, it's very expensive. But sleep is one of the best things you can do for your body to even boost your immune system to fight off a disease, a cold, a flu. Getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night reduces stress levels, improves your brain function, slows the aging process. Like I said, it says how well a person sleeps is one of the most important predictors of how long a person will live. And that's according to Don Colbert. I love all of his stuff because he's just research, and it's all scientifically backed. He also says that in addition to drinking water, sleep is one of the best anti-aging secrets. Sleep. Nobody's making money off of that. That's just you getting a good night's sleep is one of the best things you can do for anti-aging, for your skin, how you look, your weight, all of that. Short sleep duration is linked with increased body mass index. You have a greater likelihood of obesity due to an increased appetite caused by lack of sleep. A sleep deficit of 3 to 4 hours a night over the course of a week affects your body's ability to process carbs. You have an increased risk of diabetes and heart problems. Different psychiatric conditions, including depression, substance abuse, are all linked to lack of sleep. Decreased ability to pay attention, to remember things. This one was really interesting. Dr. Colbert said that there are actually higher rates of divorce among those who do not get adequate sleep. Lack of sleep slows your reaction time, shortens your attention span, impairs your memory. Why, there's tons, as I've been researching this, the link even between mood and behavior and the amount of sleep that you have is profound. That's one of the reasons of why they linked it to higher divorce rates. Your mood, ask your spouse. Okay, I know that sometimes it's hard to know if you're irritable. That's why you have to ask somebody else. But ask your spouse if you're different when you have a good night's sleep. or when you've slept longer, how your morning mood is, Those things affect your behavior. Simple things of how the quality of sleep that you're getting. I want you to think of an analogy of like recharging a phone. You have to be fully charged to get the longest use out of that, right? If you only charge it 70%, it's gonna drop sooner. And that's how your body is. If you're not fully recharged at night, you're gonna be drowsy midday. You're gonna not have as much energy. You're not gonna be able to go with as much steam as if you're fully charged. Now, some of the kind of myths about sleep is you think that you can, if you don't sleep at all one night, that you can just catch up the next day. But that's really debatable. In fact, a lot of studies show that you can't really catch up from a lot of the sleep that you don't get one night. And they even say that if you only get 6 hours of sleep a night for a week or two, that's equivalent to staying up for an entire 24 hours, just going on 6 hours for consecutive nights. That you're mainly, and they measure that by your ability to process things, coordination, memory. They did these tests, and it was basically your ability to focus just on 6 hours of sleep for consecutive nights was just as impaired as if you stayed up 24 hours and were trying to recall information or focus. So you need 7 to 9 hours. And then another myth is people say they feel fine. I regularly just get 6 hours of sleep. Well, although everybody has individual needs for sleep, a lot of times it says only one person in 25 functions at their best while averaging 6 hours of sleep a day. And in one study, a group of healthy young men were allowed to sleep an average of 6 to 7 hours for 5 days, about 1 hour less than they needed. After missing this small amount, they performed as badly on a series of tests as they did after staying awake an entire night. But then about those who say, well, it's no big deal, I just missed 1 hour or so, they said a lot of times when these people that said, well, I just function on this amount of sleep and I feel fine. They feel fine, but their test on being able to answer questions, recall information, focus, clarity were not near as high as those who got 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. So you may feel fine, but you could feel much better and have a much better recollection, memory, your ability to even think and stay focused. How many, like in your job, do you ever think at work just how much effort it takes to really think? Even the ability to think in our society, to just brainstorm and stay focused on one question that you're trying to hammer out, or one concept, or one paper. It's like we're very scatterbrained. It's so hard to stay focused. One of the reasons is because we don't value sleep. And your ability to focus is directly related to how well your battery has been recharged. Even how long you can go, a lot of the dips at 3 p.m. can be prevented if you have consecutive nights of good sleep. So, to sum that up, I know a lot of times you think, well, I try to sleep, but I can't. Listen to your body. Try to make up for it. If you know that if you're going into winter ramp and you know you're going to be working really late, instead of thinking I'll just make up for it after winter ramp or after this conference, it's best, steady state, to try to bank up on sleep before that event. So you want to try to get consecutive sleep before a big event, then you get little sleep, and then you can try to make up for it afterwards too. All right, tips. Basically, they're really pretty common sense. You want to go to bed about the same time, wake up the same time. Your body has a rhythm to it, and it's best to just go to sleep at the same time and wake up even on weekends, because then your body gets in the rhythm of going to sleep and waking up, and you have more energy that way. You want to turn off, this is one of the things about sleep that I thought was interesting. There have been studies that are showing that if you turn off the iPad, the iPhone, the laptop before bed, a considerable amount of time before you go to sleep, that you will sleep better. Let me just read what this says. And basically that's because of the light that's emitted from a screen is going directly into your eye, and it's suppressing melatonin production. And melatonin is what causes you to get drowsy and go to sleep. But melatonin is produced in the dark. So when you have a screen that's bright like that and it's in your eyes for an hour before bedtime, your body hasn't been able to produce the melatonin that it needs to go to sleep. So that's why they say that if you have trouble sleeping, don't look at your iPhone or your iPad or get on your computer right before you go to bed. And try to make it dark in your room. Okay, let me see my little, here we go. So, the habit of valuing sleep. I thought it was interesting too, when you're a teenager, when you're a toddler, you really do need a lot more sleep. And even when you're a teenager, your body gets into the rhythm of, it's like natural, the way your hormones are being, the hormone fluctuations, that it's easier for you to go to sleep later at night. And the normal for your body is to go to bed at 11 and to sleep until later. And they had this whole study about schools who actually let teenagers have a later school starting time, had better scores on tests, were able to focus better, all of that, because just the way a teenager's body is working, they go to bed later and they sleep. But once you're a teenager, you can't have that excuse, so. All right, habit number 2. So you have 7 to 9 hours of sleep that you'd really try hard to do. You turn the light out, get in a bedtime routine, don't watch the TV or the iPad, iPhone, shut all that off and just unwind, read a book. If you have trouble going to sleep, one of the things that helps me, if you wake up in the middle of the night and your mind is running, you just recite a scripture over and over in your head. Or speak in tongues, or do something so that your mind doesn't get on work. And if it does in the middle of the night, then write down what you have to do and put it aside, or get up and pray. But don't pray too long, because then you would be really stirred up and you may not be able to go to sleep at all. So, all right. Newborns, infants, toddlers, they need a lot of sleep. And it's so easy for them to be able just to adapt to our own schedule. But if they don't have sleep, they get irritable, they don't function as well in school, their IQ starts to drop, it's just really important for kids especially to have sleep. Even toddlers up to 3 years old can require 12 to 14 hours of sleep a day. Okay, habit number 2. This one I had to put in here because it's just one of my favorite habits, I think. It's the sunshine habit. Sunshine is so good for you because it is what they call the sunshine vitamin. Sunshine is what produces vitamin D in your body. And vitamin D is really important for preventing cancer. A huge 16 major diseases can be linked to a vitamin D deficiency. And you can supplement with vitamin D3, but the supplementation that is not near as effective, not near comparable to what you get from being in the sun. Not just is sunshine important because of vitamin D and reducing your risk of different types of cancer, but it's energy boosting. One of the best things you can do when you're in school or you are at work and you feel really sluggish is to go outside in the sun for just 10 minutes during an office break and let the sunshine just kind of revitalize you. It brings energy to you. And it says just 15 minutes a day, being outside, preferably in the morning, gives your body a clear signal that it's not night. And light is what it's like it wakens us up. But we're around so much artificial light that our body doesn't get that clear heaven-sent signal that it's daytime, it's time to be awake. And you can't manufacture the same energy through just being in a lighted room. It's not the same as being out in the sun. So if you ever feel really sluggish, I even remember sometimes when I was working at the office and I would just get so tired. I would feel so tired around 3 o'clock. If I could take a break and just get outside and stand in that parking lot for 10 minutes, it would give you a little energy boost. The optimal time to be in the sun for vitamin D production is as near to noon as possible. So that would be between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. That's when you're going to get the most vitamin D from the sunlight. It takes about 48 hours to be completely absorbed into your bloodstream, vitamin D does. So it's great for immune. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. And like I said, the way you get it is through sunshine. Most people are deficient, but it can totally transform your health. I mean, if you just Google it, you can see study after study how it increases so much, decreases your risk for certain diseases. The thing about it, though, is it takes 48 hours to be absorbed. So if you're out in the sun all day, and I found this from Dr. Mercola and other different, but Dr. Mercola mainly, if you are out in the sun all day and then you're sweating and you go and you take a shower, your body hasn't had time to fully absorb the vitamin D. And so it's like you're washing it off and it's not getting deep into your skin. So if you're outside and you're sweating and you're just take a shower and just wash your stinky parts and let the water just run over your other parts, you don't have to wash with soap everywhere and wash all the vitamin D off. Because that's another thing. We are an overly clean society. It's like everything is sanitized, we have no good bacteria, and your skin actually produces awesome fats. Your skin produces and is excreting these things. It's synthesizing vitamin D, making it into. So if you worry, you want to know that if the kids have been out in the sun all day and I put them in the tub, I'll try to use as little soap as possible, just so they get smelling good, and then I get them out because I want their body to absorb the vitamin D, and I don't want to be washing it all off, and I don't want to be washing off the fats that their body's excreting. That way they'll have dry skin. So, and just a little inside tip about your shower time. When you're outside, how much time does it take? It only takes 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how sensitive your skin is to the sun. You just want a little bit of sunshine every day. If it's not raining, if there's any way for you to get some sunshine, 15 to 30 minutes every day, then just do it in a little burst or whatever, and just till your skin is a little pink. You don't want to get sunburned, but just till it's a little pink. So the sunshine habit. For me, and then, this is the last habit that we're going to camp out here for a little bit. If you think about, before I move on though, just look at today. Well, today was actually a fabulous day to be outside. So think on average, maybe look over the past 3 days. How much time have you spent outside? Just think in your head. I mean, really, I think I spent maybe 40 minutes outside today total, and that's not even a lot at all. And it was beautiful out. But all of our lives revolve around inside things that you've got to make the effort of what you can do outside, how you can get out in the sun. All right, the last habit that we're going to talk about. Are you ready? The last one. I bet you could guess. What do you think? Exercise, yes. I'm really excited about this one. Okay, well, first of all, to kind of sum up all the exercises, I testify. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the Bible. I believe in those things. I believe probably the top 3 or 4 people in this community up there with Miss Karen, I believe in the power of those things to bring faith, bring change, bring incredible fruit in your life. However, as of last year, I testify that simply stewarding over your body can bring just as dramatic change. I know that that's hard to believe, but seriously, there have been times when I've had such a mental battle in my head that I have prayed for hours, and it has not changed. But if I've gone outside and exercised, it has helped it more than the 5 hours I spent in the prayer closet. Exercise outside. Now, I know that is a strong statement, but not just me. Joe can testify as well. Countless other testimonies. And what do we base that on? That you are not just spirit. You are not just soul. And there are chemicals, there are hormones in your body that affect your mood, that affect your thinking. Hormones, things in your body, they affect the way you think. What am I saying? I'm saying not every mental battle is the devil assaulting you. Some mental battles are because you haven't slept and you've been eating junk and your hormones are out of whack because you've been living off of processed food. Depression, it's not always an assault from a demon. It could be the food, the lack of sleep, the lack of exercise. So I believe that diet, exercise, lifestyle can change your life. It is one of the tools used alongside with these other things to bring complete fruit, wholeness, wellness. And especially in, growing up, it's like I grew up in a charismatic church. And I never heard that exercise could help me with any mental battle. And I just thank God I discovered it. And Joe thanks God too. The first time I ever heard of it was when I went to the nutritionist that I did a work study with, and she was talking, and I told you this the first night, about her husband, who they were both Christians. They believed, they went to church regularly, they were, they lived, they were disciples, they were in the Word, they were in the prayer. And he came home and he said, I'm tired of the mood swings, I'm gonna start exercising. And some of you, it's just one thing, something as simple as exercise will be able to put to flight the horde of demons that you think are assaulting you in your mind. The depression, the darkness, all of that by just moving your body and letting these hormones and these toxins get out of you. That's one reason why exercise is so good, is it's so great to just sweat out toxins. That's the way your body was meant, is you drink water and you pass it out and you sweat it out. It cleanses. It's like cleansing the cells in your skin when you sweat. So you are detoxing. It's so important to not just exercise, but to work up a sweat. And last summer, thankfully last year really, when Joe was